If you've ever wondered how to get into a magazine, today's podcast is for you. I am joined by Theresa, who is from Horsemanship Journal and Western Horse UK, and we're talking a bit about how magazines, especially the niche, smaller magazines in the equine industry, can benefit your small business. So stay tuned and enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome to the show. Today we've got Theresa here, and Theresa is from Horsemanship Journal and Western Horse UK, and we are going to talk about magazines and getting some visibility and the sorts of things that we should be doing and why it matters for your business. So welcome, Theresa.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're very, very welcome. So tell everybody a little bit more about what you do with your magazine.
Okay, so I'm one of the editors. We have two editors. So I mainly look after Western Horse UK, and then Kate's our editor for Horsemanship Journal. And then I'm also an owner of the company, so I look after everything else. I do the accounts, I do the marketing. So yeah, pretty much touch on everything else. And we publish 6 times a year. And they're printed back to back, so you get both titles.
Get both titles in one, which is really a unique sort of layout. I know I've got mine.
I haven't seen any other magazine that does it.
I've got it sitting by my bed at the moment. I'm having a good read every night, which is really, really lovely. What got you into starting the magazine in the first place?
So I actually purchased the magazine. So it was a magazine that I subscribed to in my previous business. I ran full-page adverts in it, and I wrote articles for it. So when it came up for sale, I was kind of really interested in just going in that direction. So my previous business was retail, and I kind of wanted to get out of retail. So the magazine just kind of really got my attention as being kind of quite a creative business to run. So that's that kind
of really good. And it's very, very niche, isn't it? Because it sort of covers the horsemanship side, but also the Western. And I think that's so wonderful about sort of the equine industry and magazines in general. Even in, like, most people would say just having an equestrian magazine is niche, but you've gone even more so.
It's kind of micro targeting.
Yeah, and so why do you think that small businesses should use like small independent niche magazines like yours to market their business?
So for exactly the reason that you've said. So the magazine has already has that niche market for you, and it'll be a really specific market. So like you say, some would say that anything to do with horses is niche in itself, but then to kind of really get down into whether it's Western, or there might be a dressage magazine or a teen equine or whatever it is, that magazine then has really got a target audience for you. And I've advertised on Facebook and social media, and I find it really difficult to target a specific audience. Yeah. So the magazine has done that for you, and really it's the readers have done that for you because they've subscribed, so they've self-identified then as being in that target market. So it takes that, it does the work for you in terms of finding the right audience. All you have to do as an advertiser is figure out which magazine is perfect for your product. So what niche is it that you want to target?
Yeah, which is great. And I guess even like with a magazine like yours, the subscribers are more loyal because it's niche and because it doesn't have all the it's more for them. It's really specific, and it's a lot we do in business. We're always saying get to really know your ideal client, so it helps. So what sort of so if somebody did want to bring their business on and get into a magazine, like what ways are there of getting into a magazine?
So it kind of depends on the effort, but it depends on your business and the amount of time you want to put in. So there's some really easy ways, and then there's some more involved ways. So kind of a more involved way would be if you're a if you have some expertise in something, then you might want to think about becoming a writer for a magazine. You don't need to have a PhD to be a writer for a magazine. Whatever your area of expertise is, if you think about, I was just running a retail store and I was writing articles. So when people would come in and ask me questions about Western riding hats or what to take on a ranch holiday, it was the questions customers were giving to me that I would easily answer when I was chatting to them, and just write those down as articles, because those are frequent questions that I would get as a business owner. The thing you have to remember with editorial is you can't sell, so you can't be selling yourself. You're writing an article to help the reader, so you'll get credited with a bio, so your name and business, etc. But it's a good way of building credibility for an audience. But that's not for everyone. The other way that is also a little bit more involved, so say you have a product that's quite technical and you really want to help people understand the features or how you came to develop it, and you want to do that in more words than a normal display advert would give you, then an advertorial is a good way, because you can write 700 words or whatever you want, and you can sell, because that would be a paid feature. So those are two ways. If you have some time and you want to put some effort into it. Easier ways, if you just kind of want to test the waters, I guess, a little bit. The best way, I think, or certainly our most popular product, is business directories, because they'll be both in that. Well, I certainly would expect a magazine to have them in the magazine, but also online. So they'll be the lowest price point, and all you need to do is provide some contact details. But what I would say there is you want to look for making sure that the magazine is displaying that in a way that people are going to stop and read it. So you don't want it to look like a classified section, because unless somebody's really looking for something, they're not going to stop and look at that page. So what works for our audience, because they're horsemanship or Western and they don't have trainers and tack shops around the corner, we do it as a map. So as people kind of open the page, like, oh great, there's something, I can see a pin on the map close to where I am. So that kind of works for our particular magazine, but you'd be looking for something that has some visual interest so that people don't just keep turning the page. But yeah, they're a really good way of kind of starting out.
Yeah, of doing that. And if somebody was like, they wanted to get an article in, or they wanted to become a writer, I was just trying to think of the reasons why people wouldn't do it. And I know that, like, even with me, like my last business, I was a columnist. I had my products on the front cover, and I had products throughout magazines. With this business, I've shied away from it a little bit. It's kind of like that fear of being visible almost, and also like, oh, I can't write, I can't, like, and I know I can write, this is not but it's like, they get all that, I'm not good enough, I can't write. What would you say to people who feel that actually they shouldn't, they can't?
Really don't worry. If you have an interesting topic, then I would just write to the editor and say, I think your readers would be interested in this. Here's an outline of what I'd like to write about, and say to them, I haven't written before, I'm not confident. And then the editor will help you, because the editor wants to make sure that it's an interesting article, if it's relevant to the readers. So they'll help you structure it. It won't be printed without going through a proofreader. So the editors will make sure that they take whatever your idea is and make it into a really good article. And then you'll find over time you build confidence as well.
Yeah, sort of getting that article, like getting the idea. Do you think that's more important for people to actually get the idea pitched, or do they need to actually have everything ready and have it all written? Or
no, I would say just get the idea pitched. Once you've got the idea, then at least you're up and doing something. Like, one of the things we tell our writers is, don't be afraid to write badly, but write something. So it can be really easy to sit in front of a computer and kind of think, oh, I don't even know where to start. As soon as you start typing, you just get it all down, and it might be messy and disorganized, but that's the point of editing. So, you know, you'll go through it several times. You might go through it with the editor. They might give you some tips to rewrite certain sections that aren't clear. But yeah, just start writing.
Start writing, and once they've given you the go ahead, do you find that people often pitch ideas and then, like, I know that I've had this in the past where I've pitched ideas to places and they've just never got back to me? Is it a case, do you think, that I've got the wrong contact, or I haven't done it right, or it's just not been the right time? Because I guess everybody works to...
Yeah, I guess it depends on the magazine. I'd like to say we would never not get back to somebody, you know, and it might be to say that's just not ideal content for what we're looking for. But yeah, I mean, have a look at most magazines on their website will say what themes are going to be in their magazine over the year. So you could have a look at those and think, oh, okay, I've got a good topic that fits in with that issue, and then it's more likely to be picked up. But yeah, I mean, they should really write back to you and say.
I guess a lot of it is really knowing, like, the magazine as well, not just going and pitching unless you've got an idea of what's in it, because most magazines do follow the same framework, the same structure, the same type of articles, the same layout. If you look at magazine after magazine after magazine, like, you'll see the similarities, so that will help to do that. So it's always good to make sure that you've actually looked at the magazine, I guess. So
I mean, pitching a dressage article to us probably isn't going to get you anywhere.
But anything that sort of involves Western, or something that would be good to those horse people, you know, like there's still things that tie across from different horse my brain's gone dead. It's always the way in the middle of live recording, but there's things like horse care. Some horse care things would be still relevant to your readers as a dress up, like, or to a dressage magazine.
Definitely. And a lot of the horse health, so we have a regular vet article, so that isn't specific to horsemanship or Western. So there's definitely some things that are broader than horsemanship and Western. And I guess the other thing I was just thinking to say is that, whatever your topic or expertise is, don't assume. I think sometimes you can kind of think, well, everyone knows that. There's no point me writing about that because it's obvious, but it's not always obvious, and there are people out there that would really like to read kind of articles that, you know, if they're just getting into something, then they're really helpful. So things like, you know, one of our readers asked us to run a Western Riding 101 column, which we did for a year, just because she said, I'm just getting into it and I just want to know the real basics.
Yeah, and I guess that's the trouble. A lot of people just assume you've got that basic knowledge anyway, and they miss important stuff. I know, when I was teaching a lot, we always had this syllabus that we followed with everybody, and I said, you might know it already, but repetition is great anyway. It doesn't matter if we repeat stuff, but also just make sure that nothing's missed.
Exactly.
And I think sometimes we do, or we think, I'm no good. Everybody knows what I know already. Why would they want me? Or they've already had somebody say something like that. Why would they want me? And I guess it's kind of like, of course they would, because sometimes you just need to hear it in a different way. Or
exactly. And actually, if a magazine has already run a particular topic, and we do, you know, like you say, there is some repetition each year in terms of topics that we cover. So having a different writer explain it in a different way is perfect for us, because you don't really want the same writer writing about the same thing every year.
No, that's it. No, I've never actually, it only sort of just came to me as we were talking, but I've never thought about that before. Like, I often tell people to do that with their content for social media or whatever. They're like, keep repeating it because it matters. sometimes you might as well, when you repeat it, you might find a new way of talking about it or a new twist on it that's new and fresh, and those that know don't mind.
Even those people that do know, they quite like, they still like to read different perspectives on a topic.
And just think, oh, I didn't think of it in that way. I knew about, and it's the same, like I've read books over and over again. I've got audio books that I listen to over and over again. Every time I listen to them, I pick up something new. So so if anybody's stuck on that belief that it's already been done, that's a really good way of sort of getting through that. So do you feel that there's a benefit, like advertising? I know this is one that everybody sort of always asks me, and they're like, should I advertise in a magazine? Shouldn't I advertise in a magazine? And I've been stung in the past as well, like where you've paid a lot of money for an advert and you've not, the return hasn't come as quickly as you'd like it. I think with magazines and that type print advertising, it's not as quick as like social media or Facebook, but it's part of the bigger picture, isn't it? It's like another touch point. It's another. What are your thoughts on sort of advertising and what the benefits are around that?
Yeah, so exactly what you've said. If you take out, there's a couple of things that we see. So somebody might take out one advert and expect loads of clicks that they can measure. If you do that, you will be disappointed in your print advertising, because that's not really what you should be trying to achieve from it.
Yeah.
So the idea is to build awareness and build your brand over time. So the thing you have to remember is that when somebody's reading a magazine, they're more likely to sit down at a quiet time and properly read it, rather than being on Facebook and just reading headlines or maybe the first paragraph before they get distracted and they're back out again. So they linger on the magazine much longer than any online content. And the other thing is, from a reader perspective, is it's a resource. So I think a stat that I read is 18 months before people throw away, kind of have a clear out of their magazines. I think for most people it's probably longer. I know it is for me. So, there'll be articles in there that they want to go back to. So you kind of have to think of the longevity of advertising in a magazine, and it is about building that awareness and the trust as well. So again, because subscribers, they've made that purchase, that subscription to the magazine, so they already have the trust in the magazines by advertising in a trusted place. So it could be, and I know I've done it, that you've seen it in a magazine and thought, oh, I might buy that at a later stage, and you've kind of planted that seed, and then when you see an advert on Facebook, that's when you click it, because you trust, I know that brand. It's not some random advert from some company that I don't know and I might get bitten from it. So that's how you kind of have to think about it. You're not going to get loads of clicks the day after the magazine goes out. Great if you do, but yeah, it's a tool in your toolkit for marketing and
visibility, and so it builds a lot of credibility, because if you've invested in actually getting your brand into the magazine, it shows that you've got some sort of cash flow and finances and everything to back that up. But also, like I was thinking, it's kind of one of those things that people often flick through and they'll see an advert in it, and then they'll put it down, and then a couple of months later they'll think, oh, I need to get something. I remember there was an advert. So they might then look at the next issue. So sometimes it's better, I guess, to actually keep it consistent and advertise over a period of time. And I would also say it's really important, like I often say, ask people where they came from, ask people where they've seen you, because your statistics, they might come through your Facebook page and then go onto your site, and so it looks like your Facebook page has done the job. And actually, the first thing that brought them there is they might have seen it in a magazine and then thought, I'll go and check them out on Facebook, or go and check them out on LinkedIn or Instagram, or wherever it is that they have found that brand. And then it looks like it's been the social media that's done the work, or Google, because they've then typed the name into Google. So it's always really important to survey. And actually, if you're using sort of offline stuff, print, ask people, have you ever seen me here, and see what they say, and at least then you know that your marketing's working for you.
Exactly.
Because otherwise it's so hard to track. And the amount of people that I say, well, do you know where your customers come from or your clients come from? And a lot of them will say, oh yeah, referral or word of mouth. And unless they've got something to back that up, like I said, get the data.
Very hard to measure.
Find a way, get the data, record it, keep track, because sometimes it will surprise you. Sometimes it can really, really surprise you. And like even with your magazine, I guess a lot of the contributors, their details are also on your website. So sometimes that's another sort of bonus, I guess, if they're advertising or whatever, is to speak to them about what the online advertising
exactly. So on our so the directory that we have, so we kind of circle through all of the people that advertise in there. So on our social media, we give them a push, just to give them a little extra, so it's on the website, and then we kind of cycle through on our social schedule that every person on the map will get mentioned on social as well. And the same with our authors. We'll we go through after each issue, we'll post lots of stuff about what's in the magazine, who the authors are. So again, it's supporting your authors, it's supporting our advertisers and delivering good content to the subscribers.
And so that credibility. And the other thing that I always worry about, like I know that this used to be worse when I was in the wedding industry. I used to pay for the copyright, like there's a copyright place, isn't there, so that I could then take the photo and distribute that. If somebody wanted to do that because they were in your magazine, what would they need to do? They need to ask your permission, or would they need to buy a license from somewhere? Because it is your content, it is your copyright, isn't it? So how does that work? Because
so it should, so any if you're taking pictures of the magazine, or we don't put it online anyway, but if you're taking pictures of it or anything like that, then I think there's two things. There's an etiquette that says, because lots of people, they're really delighted when they're in the magazine, they want to take a picture and post it on social, and that's fine as long as they don't take a picture of the whole article. They take a little corner or a section of it, or some people blur bits out, then we're completely fine, because we love it when people get excited about being in it.
It's the word. It's kind of like, it's why it's sort of always been that technically. I'd love so it's interesting to sort of hear what you feel about it, because I think it's really good for them to share credibility. It also perhaps gets your brand in front of their ideal clients, who they've already identified your ideal clients as well. It kind of works both ways. But so you say, and of course tag you and
exactly, give credit where it's from, all those kind of normal kind of etiquettes when it comes to sharing content.
And just saying like, I'm really pleased about being in it, because it's always a tricky one that I know people say like, I see people doing it and I'm thinking be careful, please be careful, because it totally matters on the magazine as well, doesn't it? It
does.
So, or if in doubt, if somebody was in doubt, I guess they're best to just ask.
Just ask the question, because if they're not sure about, sometimes they'll go, I really want to share the article, and so we'll kind of send them a blurred picture of it, or a corner of it, so we'll kind of do it for them and say this is okay to share. So try and make it easy for them. So it
encourages people to then go and buy the magazine and read it for themselves, and because it's really it's a fine line, and so we all need to respect each other's content and copy, and otherwise if people are taking photos of every single article that's in your magazine, then you've lost
exactly. We've lost control. But at the same time, I really want people to share that they're enjoying an article or enjoying the magazine.
Definitely. And I know I posted the front cover the other day with a picture of on my desk, or I was going to read that, and hopefully you didn't mind that, because it's
well, the front cover is definitely different, because that's the shop window, so that could be shared as freely as anyone likes. It's the articles inside that just need to be a bit more.
Because I know when I used to have products featured, I would often have a picture of the front cover of the magazine, and then I'd put it somewhere and say, here's all the items that I got in there, so that people could then easily link if they'd seen it in there and go, oh yeah, I want to buy that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Link. And I know a lot of people also use, when they're in magazines, that as seen in or as seen on. How do you think about, like, what are your thoughts when they do that? Or
I mean, I think that's right. Not many of our advertisers do that. Maybe that's something I should encourage them to do, because that's I think it's quite a nice way of showing that you've been in a magazine. Yeah,
credibility as well. I mean, I know I publish sometimes. I haven't. This is for everybody that's been on the podcast, I've got a little thing as seen on, or as on the podcast or the TV show or whatever, that people could then put onto their website again, because it just adds that little bit of credibility. They could then link to it and share it and use it. And I guess that might be something that's
that's a good idea. I'm going to take that away.
We're sending out to people. And so if anybody wants as seen on Equine Business TV or as seen on the Equine Business podcast, I've already got one ready to go that people can then pop into their
that's a good idea.
Pop into their socials or their blog, because it really does make a difference to add that credibility. And people need to trust, and especially today, I think the trust part of becoming a client has never been more important, because there's so many frauds out there, so many con artists, and so we need to know who we can trust. And so aligning with the magazine and showing that you've got that credibility to contribute will make a massive difference. So what would you sorry, Theresa.
I was just going to say, because I'm the same. I'm very suspicious of, even if I see something advertised on the internet anywhere and I think, I'd really like that, if I've never heard of them, I've never seen them anywhere else, I'll be really suspicious. I'll do a lot of research before I consider clicking on them.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess that's why even like when magazines review products or that's a massive thing, especially if you've got a product that people have questions about, people want an honest opinion, and sometimes they don't even trust the reviews. Reviews are great, testimonials are great, and I often encourage people to share them, but sometimes you just can't even trust them. I was after a yoga mat recently, and I remember reading up all the reviews. It was kind of like, I'm still no further forward. Half of them say it's wonderful and it's the best thing since sliced bread. Half of them whinge, and this was on Amazon, and I thought, I still can't make it.
You can get lost in the reviews.
So again, having people that you trust to deliver those reviews, like a magazine or something else. And so do you ever do those in your magazine, in your title?
We do tried and tested. So that's where somebody will contact us and say we have a product, and they'll send it to us. I think for this year, because of that kind of credibility again, is I'll be looking to send some of those products out to our audience to review, rather than it being one of the editors, because again, that's something nice for the subscribers, and then also it's a kind of completely independent person doing the review. And then we do it a lot with book authors. So we have a book club, and we send a couple of free copies out each month of the book that we're reading, and then those people will write the reviews that we publish on the website.
That's really good. So if somebody wanted to get into helping you with that, they need to be a subscriber with your magazine, I assume. Is that the way that they do that?
Become a subscriber, and then you get the option of kind of putting yourself in the you could be in the book club without being a book reviewer, so you can just kind of read along with us, or you can opt in to be a book reviewer, and then each month I just pick people at random to receive books.
Oh, that's lovely. That's really lovely. So what would you say, like after we've talked about everything, what would you say is the key first step to anybody that's considering a magazine? Like, what is the number one thing that they need to do?
I guess have a look at their website, buy a copy, see if it's the right title for the product or service that you want to advertise, and then talk to them. So again, the niche magazines, they're not big corporations. You're not going to be talking to a call center somewhere. So drop them an email, give them a call, because we're niche magazines. When we take on an advertiser, we really need for them to be successful. So, we're going to work closely with them to to come up with the best package that suits their budget, the time that they can commit, so they get the best results.
Yeah, definitely. And not to be afraid to reach out and start that relationship, because that's the only way that it's going to work. And it works both ways, doesn't it? Like, if you can support.
Speaking for our team, and I'm sure it's the same for other small publishers, everyone on our team has owned a business at some point. We're currently running a small business, so we get that. One day I'm writing an article, the next day I'm doing the books. So we do understand the pressures that small business owners are under, especially currently.
Yeah, definitely. So it would really help and support. So I hope this has been useful. So if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, Theresa, what is the best way that they could find your magazine or get in touch with you about how they could contribute?
So the best way would be to go to our website, which is horsemanship-journal.com. And then you can either look at all the subscriber information, or if you're interested in advertising, then click the link at the top of the website, and that will take you to a whole different set of content just for advertisers.
Yeah, so they'd be able to then contact you and start to build up that relationship and ask you, because you know your readers better than anybody else. So
we know what's worked for other advertisers that may be in a similar area or a similar position. So we can
and so never be put off that. Like, if somebody looks and they think, oh, they've really got an advertiser that does what I do, and again, not to be put off, because it's different locations, it's different. And some people need different people. They can both do the same thing, but
exactly.
Not to. So I thank you so much for joining me. This has been really, really informative. I've absolutely loved it, Theresa. So so please do get in touch with Theresa if you've got any questions or anything else. I will make sure I put all the links in the notes and the comments so that you can do that. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it. And you've given me some good ideas.
Yeah, brilliant. always good. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Equine Business Show. Remember, you can find us on all good podcast platforms and, of course, on YouTube. Also, you can find me on Facebook at the Equine Business Assistant and Instagram at Equine Business Assistant. And if you enjoyed this, please hit subscribe so you don't miss anything that we put out, because I've got so much content coming to you that I know is going to help you to skill up and stabilise your business. Thank you for being with us today, and I look forward to seeing you soon.